A very busy day in the WVTM 13 newsroom. We have many stories to tell you about. We start tonight with reactions from across the country and right here at home about the death of legendary civil rights activist Reverend Jesse Jackson. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Guy Rawlings.
And I'm Brittany Decker. Jesse Jackson's family says that he died peacefully this morning with loved ones by his side. The Baptist minister and former presidential candidate battled progressive supranuclear palsy for almost a year. He was 84 years old. Now, Jesse Jackson didn't just witness history, he helped to shape it, and his legacy still echoes across the nation. From Alabama to the world stage, Jackson's voice pushed Americans to live up to its promises. In 1965, he stood in Selma, shoulder to shoulder with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., marching for change.
Selma wasn't just a moment in his past, it was a call he answered again and again. Year after year, Jackson returned to honor Bloody Sunday, walking across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. And last year, marking 60 years since that defining chapter, he crossed that bridge once more, this time in a wheelchair, moving forward and still standing for the same cause. WVTM 13's Lisa Crane spent the afternoon speaking with folks in our community.
Yeah, she's joining us now live from the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute in downtown Birmingham. Lisa, Jesse Jackson visited our home over the years. So how are people remembering him tonight?
Well, I spoke with several people today about Jesse Jackson. One knew him very well. Others had met him, but most, however, most like the rest of us, just knew of him. Now, the general consensus from everyone today was job well done. And much of what Jackson worked for throughout his entire life is documented right here at the Birmingham Civil Rights Institute. And we were there today kind of looking at some of that work, from his early work with Martin Luther King Jr. to his runs for president and beyond. At 92 years old, former radio personality and activist Shelley Stewart has many memories with Jesse Jackson. I visited with him today. He says Jackson was considered one of the younger members of the movement back in the day, and he says he and Jackson didn't agree on everything, but they came together on what was important, which was the struggle for equality. And he says that hasn't changed and never will.
The message goes on. The message grows, not only to black people, but to all people, of equality, equal justice for all, not the black and white only. Once you get that damn thing out of your minds, black, white, and look at human beings, I think we will be a much better country, much better nation.
Reverend Jackson wasn't just an activist and minister, he was also a two-time presidential candidate as well. NBC's Dan Shinneman takes a look at his life and legacy.
Measure human rights by one yardstick.
Jesse Jackson was never elected president, but he may have paved the way for someone that was.
We must have democracy and adequate representation. With a man our share.
The South Carolina native was in college when he became involved in civil rights. He joined the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, or SCLC, which was led by Martin Luther King Jr. With King, he was part of the Selma to Montgomery marches, and he was in Memphis when King was gunned down in 1968.
I dashed to the steps, and there's a picture of Anthony Young and I pointing in this direction because when the bullet came from here, not from there.
After a career as an activist, in 1983, Jackson entered politics.
I am somebody.
He announced he would run for the Democratic nomination for president, just the second African American to do so.
I challenge you to join that coalition, become a part of this new broad-based drive to progressive change in our nation.
Pundits didn't take him seriously, but many voters did. Jackson won more than 18% of the vote. 4 years later, he made another run for the White House. This time, he won 11 contests, but again, fell short of the nomination.
And you can't thank the Lord for the food that you're about to receive if it's not there for you to receive.
While he never ran for president again, he remained active, and in November of 2008, he was in Chicago, and Barack Obama became the first African American elected president. 5 years later, scandal rocked Jackson's family. His son, Jesse Jackson Jr., pled guilty to wire and mail fraud charges and served time in a federal prison. But the personal setbacks did not stop Jackson.
Will we go backwards by fear and hate or forward by hope and healing? We must make a choice.
He never stopped his fight for social justice. Dan Shinneman, NBC News.
And Congresswoman Terry Sewell spoke about Jackson's legacy today. She said that her heart breaks for the passing of the civil rights icon, and she sent her condolences to the Jackson family and all those who loved him.
We wouldn't have black mayors. We wouldn't, the Voting Rights Act was so instrumental, but it needed an embodiment. And that embodiment came from Reverend Jackson.
Now, Birmingham Mayor Randall Woodfin took a moment to remember the late Reverend during today's Birmingham City Council meeting as well. Woodfin says when Jackson visited Birmingham last March, his family took him to the A.G. Gaston Motel, and he says it was that day that he told the mayor he had freedom on his mind. Mayor Woodfin said freedom and hope are two words that defined Reverend Jackson.
He didn't just speak about justice, he organized it. He didn't imagine coalitions, he built them. And most importantly, he taught us that we are somebody.
Yeah, coming up at 5, we're going to talk to folks here at the BCRI about Jesse Jackson's legacy. Live in Birmingham, Lisa Crane, WVTM 13.
Lisa, thanks. Well, on a personal note, I got to meet Jesse Jackson in 2019. That was when I covered the Bridge Crossing Jubilee in Selma. Coming up at 6, our coverage continues. I'll share the impact of that experience and take a look back. But before that at 5, we're telling you about Jackson's work on race relations right here in Birmingham. Our live coverage doesn't end here. Coming up later on, plus leaders and politicians continue to speak on his death. Our team is gathering their words of reflection. You can find all their statements and post on our website and free app right now as we honor his legacy.